All right, welcome back to Bayou Town. Very pleased to have Congressman Garret Graves back with us. And I love the fact that when he always comes in, he's very transparent. And we appreciate you coming. Good to see you again,
Hey,
Congressman.
great to be back. And in this case, we're not under hurricane conditions, so it's even
kidding.
better.
I remember one time we had like a round table discussion. We almost had a quorum. We had to be careful.
That's
But
right.
I think in emergencies, you can't have a quorum, so to speak. Let me just start by saying this. We've talked about so many things over the years. But on this interview, I got to open up by just saying how concerned I really am about the state of our country. And it's palatable. You know, in other months, we'd go and we'd talk at lunch and people would go, I'm a little concerned, or I'm concerned about an individual. I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned about that. It's extreme now. People are really concerned. So many things are happening. Inflation, Hurricane Ida in this industry, gas and diesel prices, their electric bills are coming back out the roof. So I'm going to give you the floor. Where do we start, and what kind of relief could we at least get in people's minds that may be coming?
Look, first of all, I didn't vote for President Biden. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a supporter there, but I'll also tell you that I'm an American and I want this country to do well. I never imagined that you could have such a disastrous White House and cause so many problems across the United States in 19 months as we've seen. I mean, it has been absolutely remarkable. And pick a topic. We're paying gasoline prices today that are double what they were the day that he took office. We're watching millions of people illegally come across our southern border, and foreigners from other countries coming in and declaring when they get to effectively be American citizens. We're paying for their housing, their medical costs, their transportation costs, their food. And meanwhile, we have Americans that have the same needs, like, for example, the victims of Hurricane Ida, that they need help and not providing adequate assistance there. Looking at what's happening in Ukraine, where effectively this administration's policies have resulted in Vladimir Putin getting more money from his energy than before. Electricity prices, in some cases, headed toward a doubling. It is a mess, everything they touch. And so now they have a bill that effectively implicates $500 billion that they threw together and effectively finished it on Sunday. They're asking us to go back on Thursday, vote Friday. I mean, to effectively implicate $500 billion in spending. And they're saying at this point that climate change is the biggest crisis that's out there. Well, I mean, do you really think that China right now is worried about their emissions, or Vladimir Putin's worried about their emissions? That's not the biggest crisis that we're facing today. This is a disaster. They've chosen the wrong priorities, and the very people that have caused the crises that we're facing, they're now saying, yeah, trust us and we're going to fix it.
And now they want to add a ton of money for IRS in there, while people are already scrambling, trying to figure out how they're going to pay for what they're losing because of the economy and because of Ida in this area. Now they're going to get auditors to go make them pay more.
Well, Martin, here's the takeaway. We're still going through the bill because obviously the text just got finalized this weekend. But number one, I'm telling you right now, gasoline and energy prices are going up as a result of this bill. Number two, you're going to have people paying higher taxes. Those two things are guaranteed under this text, and those are two things that we don't need right now. Even some of the analysis has been done that have shown that you're not going to have any real measurable effect on inflation or benefits to the American public as a result of this bill. It's more giveaways.
Before we get to some local issues, I want to touch on Speaker Pelosi, her trip. And, boy, if ever there was a trip to ignite our nemesis, China, and also pair them up with Russia, well, she seems to have accomplished that. I mean, can you see any positive to where that trip resulted in?
Look, I don't have I don't have a problem with the Speaker of the House going to Taiwan. Just take that, put it in a box. I don't have a problem with that. Right now, I don't think it's the right time. And just like you said, we've got major issues going on with Vladimir Putin and his aggression in Ukraine, and it is a mess what's happening, and it's not just a mess on energy; it's a mess on on grain. It's a mess on fertilizer. I mean, you've got implications across the globe. And so to go out there and go start another fire, the timing on this is not right. And I think it's all about her recognizing that her reign as speaker is about to go away, and she's trying to get in as much travel as she can possibly get into before she leaves. Well, that shouldn't dictate what America's foreign agenda is, and it's the wrong fire to start at the wrong time.
Real quick before the break, in past administrations, Democrat or Republican, you could pick Clinton, you could pick Reagan, you could pick Bush. They sort of dictated who went on these trips. She sort of dictated that she was going on a trip when the president was sort of on the outskirts.
Well, she did, but look, the founders structured our government in a way that we have three independent branches. So I don't necessarily have a problem with her not listening to the White House. Look, I don't listen to this White House ever, but the timing on her part was it was bad timing. It was. This was bad timing. It's not the time to start another fire.
HR 82, you were telling me that's been on the book since what, the early 80s?
Early 80s, yeah.
And it's an incredible thing. And I think this is just proof that our teachers, our law enforcement, our firefighters, our local state officials, this is direct proof that we love them, I guess is the best way to put it, right?
Yeah, no doubt. This is something, as you said, goes back 40 years. And those people that teachers, firefighters, police officers, maybe worked for parish government, they're literally penalized for choosing public service. I mean, can you imagine teachers and police officers, firefighters, some of the most underpaid people in our community right now that are overworked and so important. It actually cuts their retirement benefits under Social Security. And the crazy thing is, just to really simplify it, if you had somebody that worked for 20 years as a security guard or 20 years as a teacher in a private, Catholic school, and then either one of those folks went and decided to work 10 years for the Thibodeau Police Department or Homewood Police Department or the Sheriff's Office, or they went to go work for a public school, their Social Security benefits would be cut than if they had never worked for those organizations. So just to make up numbers, if you got $1,200 a month for working 20 years, but then you went back and you worked 10 years for a Thibodeau Police Department or for a public school, your benefits may be cut to $800 a month for choosing to go to public service. So this bill fixes that.
So what is it, like a semi-vested thing, or they're just not vested at all when they make the move?
What it is that there was some concept back in the late 70s and early 80s that you were allowing people to double count. And what I mean by that is that if you paid into a teacher's retirement fund, that you would be getting those benefits, so they should reduce your Social Security accordingly. It's a crazy concept. It doesn't make sense. People should be treated the same, and you shouldn't be disincentivizing people for choosing important careers like teachers and law enforcement.
Yeah, whatever happened, even if they are getting a little more money, what happened to giving people a little bonus for being in that? I mean, firefighters and police and teachers, and especially police. I mean, I see it all across the nation that people are just hating on police, but still in this area, thank God, people love our police. Got three of them coming on right after you.
Oh, good. Yeah, you're right. And look, that whole defund the police term has gotten a lot of attention. This is a way of defunding the police. It really is. It's defunding the retirement of our law enforcement community. These are the people we need to be lifting up. You've seen the crime just absolutely surging in so many areas across Louisiana and across the country. These are the people, the difference between law and order, and no doubt we need to be supporting them. That's what we're going to get this bill fixed. 293 co-sponsors, record territory. And we're trying to force Pelosi to put this bill up for a vote because of the number of co-sponsors.
Well, I would think she would have to, huh?
Well, under the rules,
of course she would have to, but maybe.
Under the rules of the House, she does, but we just caught them about 2 weeks ago trying to slide a provision in a bill that effectively stopped that 30-day clock from ticking. But we caught them, and to their credit, they did agree to back off after they slid that provision.
Let me say this, and I'm going to be blunt. Is she just that devious or just that smart?
Look, I'll just tell you that I think in the few years that I've been around her, I think that her only objective, her only priority is partisan politics. It's about making the Democrat Party look good and getting them reelected, and it's not about what's best for America. And look, you have a lot of people that are biased in different ways, and I get it, the partisan bias and things like that, but your first priority has always got to be the country. And you take an oath to stand up and defend the Constitution, to defend this country. And I just don't think that is her passion. I don't think that that's her interest, and it's certainly not her priority.
It's hard to cross the aisle today, isn't it?
It is increasingly difficult, and I'll bet if you pulled out some folks like John Breaux and Billy Tozan, they would tell you all kinds of stories about how awful it is today compared to when they served.
Yeah, and as much flack as Bill Clinton got, him and Tip O'Neill found a way to, Newt Gingrich, I'm sorry, found a way to get it done.
There were a lot of those historic relations, and I think that too many times people get stuck in their own little vacuum, and they're way of the highway. And look, I'm going to fiercely defend Louisiana and fiercely defend our right to be free. But my gosh, just watching what's happening today has been so hard and just infuriating to watch the partisan ramrodding, having a Speaker Pelosi running the House, having Chuck Schumer running the Senate, and Biden in the White House. I just think Louisiana is getting the shaft at this point, looking at our energy industry shutting down, Louisiana energy industry, and going to Saudi Arabia, Iran, Venezuela, and others, and asking them for their energy. Who in the world are you serving with some of these decisions? Just frustrating watching this happen.
We'll start on this segment. We'll use more time in the next one if we have to. But once again, you're forging ahead with veterans improvements. Tell us how that's going, because that would help our local veterans.
Martin, this is one of these things that just it doesn't even make sense. So what they were doing is the way that they were counting or assessing the cost of opening up a veterans clinic is it was going to be a lease. And so they were looking at the new lease, and let's just say the lease was going to be $1 million a year. Well, if today they're paying $1 million a year, that's a wash. That means that taxpayers are going to be paying the same thing they were before. Well, they were refusing to acknowledge that you're currently paying $1 million a year. So if we were trying to do a new lease, they said, well, you got to come up with $1 million a year. So it's been blocking this new improved service for veterans, a new veterans clinic that was going to have everything from mental health and dentists to eyeglasses and all the healthcare services. But we were finally able to get that changed and going to have a new clinic with expanded services that's going to be built in South Louisiana. So really excited about that.
I'm shocked at the amount of people that have not got the respect. They've been paying their premiums regularly, religiously. They get damaged. They're being extorted. They're being put on the back burner. It's ridiculous. Your thoughts on that?
Look, everything from FEMA's risk rating 2.0, which is jacking up insurance rates, to watching some of the insurance companies refuse to pay claims that they're contractually obligated to pay in the aftermath of a hurricane, for example, to the ones that are just folding up shop and pulling out of Louisiana. We need some significant changes in the way that insurance companies are regulated, the way that they do business, and watching them just collect claims, but never, or not all of them, but many of them being incredibly difficult to turn around and
how can you
and
hold
pay
them?
checks.
How can you, as a congressperson, pass a law that would say, okay, look, you want to do business here and make all this money, but we're going to have a stiff penalty on the other end? Does that work?
I do think that there are changes can be made. I think that the Louisiana Department of Insurance, I think, needs to step in and do a little bit more in this case. But I think that one of the things that we've got to work on collectively, the federal government and the state government, is making sure that we have appropriate competition. I think we've had 8 insurance companies pull out of Louisiana since Hurricane Ida, and that lack of competition, consolidating down to fewer and fewer insurers, is going to translate to higher rates. When you add that to the changes FEMA's making on flood insurance, it's just going to become increasingly unaffordable to live here, and that's not an option.
Yeah. To top it off, the seafood industry, a lot of them live in the ravaged areas of Terrebonne and Lafourche Parish and all those areas, so brutally mangled, I should say, by Ida. But high fuel, unfair trade practices, I know you've had a lot of discussion on that end.
Yeah. So Louisiana, top seafood producer, crawfish, oysters, shrimp, blue crabs, and just the best seafood in the world. I went fishing this weekend, and we have got an incredible bounty, but just like you said, I mean, here you have the fishing community that's trying to recover from a hurricane. They're having a tough time with flood insurance program or with their own insurers. They're trying to increase rates and make it unaffordable. You got countries like China that are subsidizing their fishing community, including farmed fish, to where we can't even make a buck off of our shrimp or oysters or what have you here. And so they're making it increasingly difficult to do business. Like you said, diesel prices, gas prices going up, more expensive to borrow money to buy a boat. And so one of the things we've done, in addition to getting tens of millions of dollars in disaster aid for the fishing community, is we've asked the Department of Agriculture, through all their nutrition programs, to buy seafood from Louisiana. It's one of the most inexpensive, one of the highest quality protein sources. Buy our shrimp, buy our seafood, incorporate that into school lunch programs, into poverty assistance programs, and others that are out there. They spend billions of dollars in those programs annually. Spend money here, and again, it's quality protein.
And it's not farm raised. That has their own set of problems. I'm not even going to go into the people might get nauseated, but I agree with you there. Let's talk about, with about 3 minutes left, the Disaster Survivors Act of 2022.
Yeah, Martin, again, it's embarrassing that you even have to write bills to do things like this. It's like coming in and just saying you're required to use common sense. In the aftermath of a disaster, and look, we've all seen it. People's homes are destroyed. Their livelihoods are destroyed. In some cases, people get hurt in trying to find loved ones. And you're going to have to go fill out an application with FEMA, one with the Small Business Administration. Even if you just want help for your home, you got to fill out a Small Business Administration application. You got to fill out an application to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and maybe even Department of Agriculture for food assistance. These people are like, look, I've already got enough going on, and you're making me sit here and fill out all these applications. So one of the things we did was one-stop shopping. You come in, you need assistance, you're going to fill out one application. The agencies are going to figure out how to share that. It also it really improves or simplifies the way you can get housing assistance. Those people who need hotel rooms or may need a trailer for a little bit longer period of time, or if it just makes sense to go ahead and come into your house and fix the bathroom, kitchen, and a bedroom or so, allowing you to live there instead of doing these things where they may do some temporary fix that has to be ripped out later that just waste taxpayer funds.
Yeah, and thanks
for all about common sense.
Thanks for that, because people call us every week saying FEMA's here and they're taking my trailer. Yeah. And it's to the point, I don't mind saying this as a station, we don't even bring the FEMA people on because it's a song and dance. And I'm so tired of hearing it, because I see what's happening in the community. It's totally different than what they said they're going to do. So I agree with you there. We've got about a minute and a half left. Anything you want to close to the people in the area? Yeah.
Look, I just say that I know that Hurricane Ida was very tough, and put on top of it just these crazy policies where we're seeing record inflation, record gasoline, record electricity prices. We're watching our dollars be diverted to foreigners that have illegally come into the United States, or tens of billions of dollars being sent to other countries when we have the same needs here. Just want you to know that these are things that we're absolutely fighting every single day. I do think you're going to have a change in Congress in terms of the majority in January of next year, and I think that's going to give us the ability to truly represent Louisiana's values and have a majority of people in Congress that understand that and will uphold, I think, what it is to truly be free and to make sure that people's priorities are respected, and you see that in the actions in Congress.
Now, real quick, Mr. Dickie Barker's coming on after you, and he reminded me before he's in the control room that you and ran out at the Louisiana fishing where the legislators were there.
That's right.
Real quick, did you catch anything?
Oh, we did, but I will tell you, I threw a line in the water once. We had members of Congress in from other parts of the United States. We took them out to different coastal projects. We took them out to see our ports, our infrastructure, all over South Louisiana for 3 days, and was really just trying to be a good host and let those folks fish.
All right, there you have it. The Congressman, Garret Graves, thank you so much. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more.